A quick look at the starry sky is enough to convince us of the universe's overwhelming diversity and size, despite the fact that more and more blank spaces are being removed from star maps and we are gradually unraveling its mysteries. However, a fundamental question remains. What is truly hidden behind the universe? And is there even such a thing as behind? Can a construct that is all too easily referred to as infinite have a defined edge? Most importantly, are there any hints as to what lies dormant beyond our astronomical field of view? Keep checking back and accompany us on our quest. By giving us a thumbs up, you're encouraging us and demonstrating that we can keep you interested in the post's content. If you're excited about the unique sights and groundbreaking discoveries in space, don't forget to click the bell and subscribe. To Simply Space, so you never miss another one of our videos, Music Blind Spots. As stated at the beginning, we would like to focus on a major topic today. What is hidden beyond the universe? The answer to this fascinating question is complex, so in order to understand the challenges that experts face, in this regard, we must first consider which parts of the cosmos we can actually see in light of the thousands and thousands of sparkling objects that shine towards us in the firmament. However, we must remember that what we see of the universe does not reflect the entire construct against the backdrop that the universe is homogeneous and isotropic, meaning that it always appears to the observer in the same manner regardless of where he is and how he is looking at it. Direction. A spherical space results from our blue home planet, the volume of which corresponds to our astronomical field of view. This optical boundary scheme is not only valid for our earthly home, but it can be transferred to any celestial body. In space, since it is known that the universe was born 13.8 billion years ago, one might think that the distance to the observation horizon, or in other words, our visual limit, is also 13.8 billion light-years, but this is a fallacy. In fact, the cosmos does not possess a rigid, unchangeable character at all. On the contrary, we are dealing with a structure that has been expanding continuously since time immemorial. However, the universe does not expand into an already existing space. It is rather the space itself, which constantly becomes larger. This also means that those distances which have already been covered have been extended subsequently as a result of the expansion of the cosmos. Thus, the distance up to the observation horizon today is also not quantified with 13.8, but with 46.6 billion light-years. Those objects which currently lie at the threshold of our visual barrier, where only 40 million light-years away from the Earth at the time when they emitted their light, if we observe the corresponding formations, today this is equivalent to optical time travel. Furthermore, since the objects have long since crossed the event horizon, we are unable to make any statements regarding the processes that are currently occurring there, disturbing discovery. However, we have no idea where the observational situation is simply non-existent, so experts are forced to speculate. Some researchers believe that the areas of the cosmos that are invisible to us are built up roughly in the same way as the areas in our field of vision. But the unexplainable data sent by NASA's WMAP spacecraft a few years ago suggests that something lurks behind our optical barrier that dwarfs anything we know to investigate variations within the cosmic background. Radiation. According to common cosmological research assumptions, the proper motions of those gravitationally bound galaxy clusters should actually be relative to the cosmic background radiation and therefore randomly distributed in all directions. However, the data collected revealed that the clusters exhibited a surprisingly uniform motion pattern. But that's not all. The movement speeds even increased with increasing distance. In other words, this indicates that the galaxy clusters had fallen into the grip of an ominous gravitational force. But the scientists were unable to determine the cause of this enigmatic galaxy stream. This could imply that there is only one item that exists outside of the visible universe, a massive object that captivates galaxy clusters. Even though the expert states clearly that we do not know what causes this so-called dark flow, the explanations offered by Kashlinsky are both spectacular and controversial. although he maintains that the measurement results do not represent a statistical coincidence. We may be dealing with the effects of a neighboring universe or a completely different space-time region. The limits of infinity. Let's go back to our original question. What is behind the universe, and is there such a thing at all? Many of his colleagues have harshly criticized his remarks about a dark flow. The revealing news is that if the cosmos is truly infinitely large, we don't need to rack our brains any longer at this riddle, at this background. The universe would then be everything that exists in the context of infinity. There wouldn't be an edge or anything like an astronomical outside that we would discuss at this point. Sadly, this mystery is not quite so easy to resolve. In fact, we still don't know whether the universe is truly infinite or simply unimaginably large to approach the question of cosmic experts. In Dimensions are attempting to determine the universe's volume and shape, but how can one measure the cosmos? By analyzing a construct that cannot be fully understood. Researchers examine its curvature. The world may be endlessly huge if it is geometrically absolutely flat, but its volume is likewise limited at this point if it is curved, like a sphere. Nevertheless, it helps us to distinguish between unboundedness and infinity. To comprehend this situation, let's assume that the universe is spherical in shape and, as a result, has a finite volume. This finiteness does not imply that the universe is also limited. Experts sometimes use the example of an ant placed on the surface of a balloon as a metaphor, even though this is by no means an item with unlimited volume. Although the shape of the cosmos has not yet been fully revealed, our current measurements cautiously suggest that the unit universe is indeed almost perfectly flat, but even in this case, shape does not imply infinity. This is because, unlike the balloon, the universe in classical cosmology is not embedded in a higher dimensional shape. Therefore, even though the crawling creature could run forever in any direction without ever encountering a demarcated boundary. Let's just take the top of a cylinder. This is also flat from a geometrical point of view because we can draw two parallel lines which never touch each other, and still it has a finite size. The same could be true for the cosmos. It's possible that it is completely flat and yet closed in itself. Final thoughts: it is in our nature to want to categorize the world around us in shapes, scales, and sizes. When we imagine the cosmos figuratively, we may think of it as a gigantic sphere filled with stars, galaxies, and every interesting object imaginable. You might say it's exactly therein that our largest problem lies. In order to understand things and circumstances, we must regard them from the outside and fully. However, the universe does not need this external perspective in order to be able to exist. It is simply there from a mathematical point of view. It's completely coherent to define a universe that needs neither an edge nor an outside, or, in other words, what we think of space as a geometric body. We play a familiar trick of our minds, but one that the world of mathematics does not require, since the universe by definition contains everything that exists. Some experts believe that the question of what underlies everything is false from the start, so one might as well ask what sounds the color blue makes. This would be attempting to combine two ideas that are unrelated, which initially seems like a winning argument, but has some experts who disagree. For instance, it is possible that our universe is not the entirety of the universe, but rather a vanishingly small link in an infinite chain of other universes. In this scenario, the question would once more be, what lies beyond such a multiverse? We may discuss this topic in one of our upcoming videos. Now, we would like to know if you think the universe is infinite and whether a cosmic please leave. Your comments below with your thoughts, suggestions, and feedback about our video. If you would like to learn more about the most unusual discoveries in space, check out our channel's other contributions, which are linked here in the credits. Thank you for your interest, and we hope to see you again soon.